Good Tuesday morning. It is March 3rd. Our average high is getting a little warmer now each day. We're starting to pull out of winter. Look forward to spring. Meteorological spring is here. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and I'm here on the weather desk to talk to you about today's top weather headlines. And we've got some interesting stories to pass along with today's edition of the Weather Desk. We're so glad you found us here at 13 News Now Plus. Maybe you found us on YouTube. We stream these out live as well, and we have them available so that you can get the weather headlines on your schedule as well. However you found us, we're glad you're here, and here's what we're going to cover today. There is what is being described as a mini miracle on the Hudson, a crash landing on the frozen Hudson north of New York City. We're going to talk about that. Folks surviving that one as well. Some brave souls storming Lake Michigan. We'll talk about the polar plunge up there, how many folks were doing that. We'll check it out, and they raised a lot of money. That's close to Chicago. As we take a look, some other stories, one that's really a frustrating one for residents in a small Iowa town that dealt with major flooding a little bit more than a year, almost 2 years ago, and they are still waiting for some financial relief to help rebuild that community. We have a sweet, albeit chilly tradition. Some folks in the upper Midwest kind of doing something they do every year this time of year, no matter how cold it is outside. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to take a look at what was really a bust for us here in Hampton Roads, the total lunar eclipse. We had the overcast conditions here in Hampton Roads, but above the clouds, it was a pretty cool show, and we'll have to wait a couple years before the next one. This total lunar eclipse this morning, we'll show you that. And hydroplaning, you know, we've had damp conditions here in Hampton Roads. We're dealing with fog. We've got some more wet weather still across parts of the region. We're going to talk about how that happens, what it is, and what to do if your car starts to hydroplane. You don't want to panic. We'll get into how to deal with that. Then we're going to take a look at the severe weather outlook. We also have, that extended outlook. And if you're ready for spring and warmer weather, you live here in the Mid-Atlantic, you are going to love it. I know it's been some kind of winter, very cold for much of the winter. We've been below average really since late last fall. We kind of skipped late summer. It was not brutally hot. It started to get a little cooler, and then it got really cold through much of the winter here in the Mid-Atlantic. We've got a prolonged warming trend coming up for the weekend and into next week. We'll break all of that down for you on this edition of the Weather Desk. We're going to start off by taking a look at what's happening nationally. A couple of things you may notice if you've got a keen weather eye and you take a look at these satellite images, and we're looping these, you can see there's a circulation out here. When you see that counterclockwise circulation here in the northern hemisphere, that's an area of low pressure, what we call cyclonic flow. That's a cyclone there moving across Wyoming and northern Colorado here. That's one area of low pressure. We've got another area of low pressure along a frontal boundary here, and there's another one that is just offshore. So as we take a little closer look at this, we'll jump in, and I'll just stop it here, and we'll put the fronts on and the boundaries. Here's the one area of low pressure I showed you. The next one kind of moving along this frontal boundary, and this one is going to slide off to the east. Because we've had this one closer to the coast, we've had a northeast and north wind. It hasn't been strong. This isn't a powerful area of low pressure, but it is keeping that north flow, and that's kept us cool with a marine layer coming in, and we've actually had quite a bit of mist and fog out there this morning. This area of low pressure is going to kind of lift, and it's lifting a warm front through this air down here, much warmer, and that is what is going to build into our region for a prolonged period of time. So some warmer air set to move in as those kind of boundaries, those areas of low pressure in that frontal boundary lifts a little bit. Right now, we still have some winter weather alerts to talk about, including a winter storm warning for some of the mountains here in the eastern part of West Virginia. We'll take a little closer look, and you can see it's basically from Elkins down through Bluegrass. Once you get into this region, you find the potential for some of those more problematic areas in the high country over the mountains, some of those passes, some of the hollers. They're going to have some issues with some potentially heavy snow or some mixed precipitation, some ice potentially for some of those locations. It's a winter weather advisory with much lighter amounts from Front Royal and Gainesville up through Winchester, Hagerstown, down, you head over towards Baltimore. They are under the winter weather advisory. Washington, D.C., the actual district itself, not included, but areas just west of D.C. are under that winter weather advisory. And then areas off to the north, including, well, they just took Philly out. Earlier, Philadelphia was also under that, but they were just taken out. Williamsport, much of Pennsylvania, all the way up into eastern New York State, Albany. You can see Hartford, Connecticut, areas just off to the west of Boston there, and then up into the extreme southern part of Vermont and a good chunk of southern New Hampshire, even into Maine. We have the winter weather advisories. That extends all the way back out through Erie, Pennsylvania, and the extreme northeast part of Ohio. So this is what we're looking at in terms of the potential for wintry weather. Now, it hasn't been real heavy. It's fairly light, but there are some pretty decent snows. We'll get back to that in a moment. I wanted to start off by taking a look at some of this moderate to heavy rain. We actually have some heavy rain along Interstate 70 approaching Indianapolis, and Bloomington's been seeing some rain. The rain's been lighter, but extending all the way back through St. Louis and up towards Quincy. You get into Springfield, Illinois, Peoria. Those areas have been dealing with the wet weather. You see that heavier rain working along I-70 and approaching the southern parts of Indianapolis in that area. As we turn our attention back here across the central part, the mid-Atlantic, you'll notice we've been largely dry, but drizzle out there. It's been kind of a misty morning with overcast conditions, and we have been dealing with spotty drizzle. Once you get back out to the other side of I-85 and west of Richmond up there around I-95, we pick up more showers, and there's been some mix across the northern parts of the Commonwealth. For our immediate viewing area here in 13 News, serving southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, it's really been very spotty, but you go up just to the north, Saluda, up towards Stevensville and up towards Tappahannock. These are some of the northernmost areas that are able to pick up our signal. Up around Kilmarnock, some showers up that way. Most of the rain and the mix has been farther to the north. As I mentioned, D.C. not under the weather advisory, but the winter weather advisory is just out to the west, and those areas still have the potential for a little more light mixed precipitation. Looking farther to the north, Pittsburgh's seen some light rain, a chilly rain, and maybe a few wet snowflakes. Punxsutawney's dealt with a little bit of that. You can see over towards Williamsport, Charleston, they've been seeing some mixed precipitation. Then snow for Binghamton. This is going to increase around Albany and Kingston later today as all of this is moving off to the east-northeast. So that's what's out there right now. For New York City, you can see the Big Apple dealing with some rain showers down to the south, areas around Long Island picking up some rain, and it looks like some light snow showers at least showing up by the radar's estimate. North of New York, a little bit of mix and some snow as you head just north of the city, but for Manhattan, it's been kind of a mix. Staten Island's been seeing some more rain. North of the area, this is the place that we want to start with our first real featured story, because we are this morning learning more about what has been described as a mini miracle on the Hudson. Officials say a small plane carrying 2 people crashed into the Hudson River east of New York. They're just north of New York Stewart International Airport in Orange County shortly after 8 o'clock last night. First responders were able to locate the plane, and the occupants were able to escape and get out of the plane and eventually swimming to shore, according to Middle Hope Fire Department officials. The individuals, a pilot and a passenger, were evaluated at the scene before being taken to the hospital. Fortunately, they are expected to be okay. So some good news with that plane crash there around Newburgh. All right, we're going to turn our attention to the chilly conditions across the upper Midwest. And let's go to Chicago, because in Chicago, thousands of people braved icy Lake Michigan Sunday, and it was all for a great cause. More than 4,300 participants dove into the frigid waters at North Avenue Beach for the annual Polar Plunge, raising over $1.5 million for Special Olympics of Illinois. Jasmine Miner has the story.
It's called the Polar Plunge for a reason.
Just like I'm helping others out.
For Matt Buck, he knows firsthand that the cause is worth getting a bit wet for.
They're always making sure that I have everything I need as well.
Diagnosed with autism, Buck found opportunity to compete in the Special Olympics through Special Children's Charities, an organization raising millions for children to get a chance to live out their best lives.
We do Special Olympics competitions. all across the city. We also do life enrichment, so we offer things such as online cooking courses. We do special rec, and then we have a partnership with Second City, and we offer camps throughout the summer as well.
I never thought he would get those opportunities, you know, when you like kind of suffered through the early organized sports days when he was a kid and like crying in the field with t-ball, and then to find his niche with Special Olympics has just been incredible.
The Bucks make this day a family affair. Matt's mom, Kathleen, says seeing the support from the city, elected officials, including Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias, is a reminder that everyone deserves to find where they belong.
They, you know, meet these guys and girls. I mean, they just have such a different take on life and finding their own, you know, what they're able to do, watching these athletes do what they can do.
Whether you're a plunger or a supportive cheerleader.
Watch these people jump in. Oh my God.
Mom's staying dry.
Incredible. Mom's staying dry this year.
Love the good work that the Special Olympics do, and obviously all those brave plungers braving the cold in the upper Midwest. Of course, we have our own polar plunge here, and it's awesome in Virginia Beach. I always like to get involved and kind of promote that activity as well. We're going to stay in the Midwest and talk to you now about single-digit temperatures. Those single-digit temperatures didn't keep residents away from celebrating one of their favorite traditions. Community members made their trek to a 77-year-old walk-up Dairy Queen in Moorhead, Minnesota. They say they keep the tradition alive no matter the weather. Check it out.
History. I've been doing this for years and years. On March 1st, this is the best Dairy Queen around.
You wait all year, and you just got to have that. And they have the best dilly bars. They're the first ones, and they have the special barbecue recipe. No other one tops it.
This is our 77th year, and not very many restaurants can say anything like that.
Here we go. My wife wants a butterscotch milkshake. You cannot get a butterscotch. You can get caramel, but not butterscotch at any other Dairy Queen around this area.
Like years ago, Dairy Queen used to make everything in store. Well, we still make all of our dilly bars, all of our DQ sandwiches. We may have every novelty that we have except for the pre-manufactured and the special ones like a Heath Toffee bar we do not make here, but everything else we still manufacture just like it was intended to be in 1949.
I think I'm going to sit down on the table. They got them all ready to frost off. I'm warm enough dressed so I can have my ice cream before, well, it won't melt. That's a nice thing.
This is beautiful today. I mean, it's a little chilly, but the sun's shining. It'll get a little warmer.
Like I say, I've been here when it was 8 below zero. You know, so it's okay.
All right, we talk about how hardy the folks in the upper Midwest are. It's really what your bodies are accustomed to, because if we were facing single digits here in Hampton Roads in the Mid-Atlantic, the last thing anybody would be thinking is, hey, let's go get some ice cream. And you see some of those folks, they didn't even have like hats or anything protecting their ears. You're like, it's another day in Minnesota, you know, single digits. It's cold, sure, but they deal with it and they love it. So that is a great story, and some very hardy, strong folks up there in Minnesota. All right, now we're going to turn our attention to some frustrated folks. I hate to do that. As we take a look, though, we do want to talk about the situation in the northwest part of Iowa, specifically the community at Rock Valley. It's been 20 months since the Rock River flooded and damaged hundreds of homes in the town here of Rock Valley. They are on a waiting list and waiting for federal decision that could fund the demolition of 150 flood-damaged properties. So far, funds have been secured from the city and state, but FEMA is still reviewing Rock Valley's application. And this is what one neighborhood near Rock Valley River on the west side of Rock Valley looks like on Monday. You can still see broken windows. It's been a tough situation, torn siding, houses literally falling apart. City officials say they are close to getting FEMA funds, but a demolition date for those damaged properties will wait until they actually have the money to do their work. So a lot of folks up there very frustrated that they're still waiting, but it's one of those things where they just need a little more patience, it looks like, as they will have a long road with that recovery. All right, well, that's what's happening up in that part of the country. I do want to talk to you about the severe weather outlook. No real great threat of flooding, but there is the potential level 1 threat. That's a marginal threat for some severe weather from Oklahoma and Kansas into Missouri. And the primary threat from this, not tornadoes, not damaging winds, but in this case, we are looking at the potential for larger hail. This is from Oklahoma City up through Wichita, Springfield, Missouri, up through Kansas City, all the way through the St. Louis metro area and up towards Quincy, Illinois. So this is the area, just a slightly elevated risk of hail, but that is the concern. Still pretty chilly up there on the backside of that storm system that is moving off to the east. Now, that's for today. Tomorrow, we actually have a level 2 or a slight risk of severe storms, and that includes Dallas all the way up through the western portions of Arkansas. One of the threats there, again, you have the threat for hail, and in this case tomorrow, there's actually a level 2 threat for hail in this same highlighted area. Again, the level 1 threat goes all the way up through the Ohio River, up into the southwest part of Ohio, northern Kentucky, southern Indiana, and Illinois as well as southern Missouri. But I wanted to take a closer look at this because it's not just hail. They have to be mindful of strong damaging winds in these areas. And with this one for tomorrow, this is for Wednesday, there is an elevated threat for tornadoes. So from Waco through Dallas over towards Tyler, Texas, you can see Sherman also included in this, Texarkana, McAllister, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and really just the western and northwestern side of Little Rock under this elevated, albeit slightly elevated, but an elevated risk for tornadoes. Branson over to Poplar Bluff, Missouri, the southern part of Missouri, also included in that slightly elevated area. So an isolated tornado can't be ruled out. Looking ahead to Thursday, we also have a level 2 threat from southern Kansas back into Oklahoma and northern Texas. So starting to transition now into that time of year where we're going to start looking for more severe storms. You know, we are in our severe weather preparedness week for our spring storms in North Carolina this week. Virginia will have severe weather preparedness week next week. So we're starting to get into it now. Lubbock, obviously San Angelo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, all included Amarillo, Texas, all the way up through Dodge City, Kansas, just off to the southwest of Wichita, this area under that level 2 threat for severe storms on Thursday. We will watch that all the way up to the north through Omaha, Nebraska, Sioux City over to Des Moines. We do have a level 1 threat for severe weather on Thursday. So all of that we will be keeping a close eye to as we get into the middle to latter part of the week. Now for our area, we have a nice warm up. That's one of the things we're going to talk about after a very short break. When we come back, we're also going to talk about hydroplaning, what it is and what to do if your car starts to hydroplane. That's coming up after this 2-minute break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. You know, one of the areas or topics we really love to get into here in the Weather Desk is what's happening in space, whether it's space news with one of the different launches going on somewhere around the country or around the world. Maybe there's a celestial event going on we want you to check out. In this case, we were so excited about the total lunar eclipse. Now, we knew we were going to see clouds this morning, and unfortunately, instead of having a beautiful sky like that, we did have overcast conditions. So if you tried to look up and see the lunar eclipse here in the mid-Atlantic or along the East Coast, a lot of folks very, very disappointed by all the cloud cover. But the West Coast got a much clearer view. This is a time lapse from our ABC affiliate in Los Angeles. We entered a partial eclipse here around 5 a.m. And here on the East Coast, we had a totality around 6, lasting for about an hour. Unfortunately, again, if you weren't able to catch the blood moon, and you could see that reddish tint with this time lapse of the moon, isn't that so cool? If you couldn't see that blood moon, you'll have to wait a couple years. The next eclipse won't take place until 2028. So, yeah, we had the cloud cover here, but hopefully next time we'll have better viewing. All right, one thing that's reduced our visibility is we've got fog, not only low cloud cover, but fog as well. Hampton over to Newport News, only a half-mile visibility. We've got less than a mile, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Suffolk, a quarter-mile visibility out in Wakefield. We knew we were going to see some dense fog. Visibility's down less than a mile from Currituck to Elizabeth City, so folks need to take it easy, allow extra travel time this morning. That has been something that we've been dealing with throughout the morning. The other thing we've been looking at is damp road conditions. And while the roads haven't been hit with really heavy rain right now, it has been damp and it is slick. And it's mornings like today with these wet roads that it could lead to one of the bigger hazards on the roads. I'm talking about hydroplaning. Meteorologist Evan Stewart breaks down how it happens and what you can do to stay safe.
Whenever rain moves into the region, one of the biggest hazards for drivers is hydroplaning. That's a dangerous loss of control that can happen within seconds. Now, hydroplaning occurs when a layer of water builds up between the vehicle's tires and the road's surface. This keeps the tires from making proper contact with the pavement, and when that happens, steering, braking, and acceleration can all become ineffective. Even just a thin layer of water can be enough to trigger hydroplaning, especially at faster highway speeds. Now, proper tire care plays a major role in reducing the risk. Tires with an adequate tread depth are designed to channel water away from the tire, allowing it to maintain contact with the road surface. Now, when driving in heavy rain, slow down, avoid using cruise control on wet roads, keep both hands on the wheel, and increase that following distance. If hydroplaning does occur, ease off the accelerator, avoid sudden braking, and steer gently in the direction you want the vehicle to go until traction returns.
All right, good tips there, Evan. Thanks for that information. Again, we didn't get a lot of rain, but the roads are slick right now. We are asking motorists here in Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina to allow a little extra travel time today. You look at the temperatures over the past week, we've had a few days, at least a couple that have been slightly above average, but we've also had some really chilly days. So far, only up to 40 degrees, but that's going to change later today. I want you to take a look ahead at the next 10 days after today, with temperatures in the mid to upper 50s and some more sunshine later this afternoon. It's actually going to warm up a lot. So we've been looking forward to the warm up. How about 67 tomorrow? Temperatures in the low to mid 70s as we look forward to the weekend and beyond. Let's take this full. I want to go ahead and give you a chance to get a good look at those numbers. Again, the warm air building across the region. With the warm air, we're going to see pollen levels increasing as well. Today, pollen levels in Southeast Virginia are in the low to moderate level. Yesterday, they were moderate to high. Today, a little bit lower. But they're going to be going up as we get that sunshine and those warmer temperatures. That gets everything kind of rolling with our tree pollen. Right now, some sprinkles off to the west and to the northwest. You can see how things have been moving along. We really haven't seen a lot here, but there have been areas of mist and drizzle out there, and we'll continue to see that threat. Clouds are going to be with us for a little while, but later today, I think we see some sunshine, and that's what's going to allow temperatures to jump up into the upper 50s, mid to upper 50s anyway. As we head through the overnight, pretty mild temperatures staying upper 40s to low 50s. It'll be variably to mostly cloudy. Tomorrow, temperatures getting back up, upper 60s inland, low 60s near the coast. This is by noon. So now we're starting to warm up. You're starting to feel it, right? As we get into the afternoon, a little bit warmer, and then a bit of an onshore flow will drop temperatures as we head late afternoon and into the evening. Now, as we look ahead to Thursday, I'm expecting a much bigger warm-up. Temperatures well into the 70s on Thursday, but late Thursday afternoon, again, with any kind of an onshore flow, temperatures are going to drop again right at the beaches, so we'll be watching for that. We do have a small craft advisory still up for the Atlantic Ocean, so just want to give you that heads up. Basically, today we're looking at temperatures eventually climbing into the mid and upper 50s. We do have those sprinkles still out there, areas of mist and drizzle. I know the clouds are still hanging in. They will for the next couple of hours, but later this afternoon, we should see those temperatures spike. As we look off to the north, a little bit cooler, still mid-50s for the peninsula, low to mid-50s for Gloucester, a little cooler Matthews and over to the eastern shore. Outer Banks, temperatures there, low 50s. We'll see upper 50s around Elizabeth City, low 60s for Edenton with some sunshine later on. Overnight lows, upper 40s to low 50s near the coast, and then tomorrow, 67, becoming mostly sunny later in the day. If you like the warm weather, you've got it coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday, all looking great. Remember, we spring ahead. Daylight saving time begins Saturday night into Sunday morning. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. It's certainly been a pleasure to bring it to you. Remember, you'll catch us each and every day right here starting at 9.